This is the brand new 2025 Coat Rack Monster, a legendary Tekky prop that has been brought back by Haunted Hill Farm and is even better than it was before. First releasing over a decade ago at Spirit Halloween, it has since gone on to become a favorite among haunters. What's not to love as this maxes out not only the creativity meter, but has to be one of the best jump scares to come from retail. In today's review, we're going to go over everything from the unboxing to a breakdown of its features, and maybe even scare a few people while we're at it. So sit back, relax, but be wary of where you hang your hat, because this is the Coat Rack Monster. Well, hello and welcome to my review of what I consider to be one of the coolest animatronic concepts from retail, that being the Coat Rack Monster, resurrected by Haunted Hill Farm for the 2025 season, alongside Gravely Granny and Convulsing Nurse as a part of the Back from the Dead collection, re-releasing some classic props, two of which I'm not really a big fan of. Obviously, the one that I am a fan of is the one that's on this table. I think it is an incredible idea. It's so ingenious, and I am glad to have the upgraded version from its original 2014 predecessor that sold at Spirit Halloween for $139.99. I should preface the rest of the video by saying while I do not own that original model, I will still be pointing out all the improvements / enhancements that this one has, just based on some research instead of actually doing the physical visual comparison. But before we get to opening this up, I do want to talk a little bit about the packaging, and I'll start off by saying it's very small. You shouldn't have any trouble when storing this. I'll also post the dimensions on the screen for you so you have an exact idea of what you're going to have to deal with. I will also post the weight as well, though I can tell you it's very light. Sadly, with this being an online exclusive, you're not going to get any fancy box art, so the only way you're going to be able to tell that this is a Halloween-related item is by it saying Haunted Hill Farm on either side, and also the abbreviated text of Coat Rack Monster front to back. And finally, where is this being sold? Where can you get your hands on one right after you finish watching this video? And two places at the present time. If you go onto Haunted Hill Farm's website, it will show up as $249.99, though I don't believe you can purchase directly from them. Rather, you have to go to a third-party retailer. And the two places that it is being sold are Amazon and Walmart, each for $229.99. However, I managed to get mine for $82.50, as on the first day this went live on Walmart only, it was available for $82.50, and it lasted for 24 hours roughly before somebody figured it out and updated it to the appropriate price of $230. Moving forward, we will be evaluating it from that price based off of value and the original price of $139.99 for the 2014 model. That will be how we kind of measure this guy's worth. So even though $82.50 is a great price for this, it wouldn't be appropriate to base it off of what I paid for it. I think we've covered all the territory I wanted to get to before opening this up. Without further delay, let's get to it. Alrighty, pop this open, and this slides out. I have to lay this down. Try to have at least one camera be able to pick this up. And there he is. Chuck that. Start out with the adapter up top, instructions, and appears to be a weight there as well. Go ahead and start cutting. That is one tiny ass adapter. So for those of you curious, this is a 6-volt, 2-amp DC adapter, power supply. Cut out the instructions. Hate these twist ties. I'm gonna have to use scissors for these. Be careful, because now it wants to probably fall out. Oh, that hurts. We're gonna test Tekky's durability. Main body and head, we got it right here. Set that down. This would be the base with the new and improved metal bottom as opposed to wooden. That is an improvement that this has over its predecessor. Is a much more sturdy base. A and B, pair of hats. Where's the opening to this? Oh, it's tied. What is that, like a Burberry hat? What did I dropped the speaker box. That's what I dropped. Please. Oh, it didn't even crack. Not a scratch on it. I'm gonna move this over here, clear this out of the way. And this is a big conversation topic as we've got a much larger speaker than the one before. You can see speaker jack, foot pad jack, volume control. This is also able to be operated by 4 AA batteries. See, for our power supply connection is right there. You've got human only, which will be activated by the IR sensor, and then on, which can be activated by a foot pad, or I believe the sensor as well as sound, so like a big loud clap. You've got a very plastic, mushy shoulder plate, it would seem. The main motor there, and then I think 3 connections. Yes, looks like totaling to 3. Some buttons there as well. And then the sensor is located at the top of the hat, right below these 2 screws. The ADD is coming out. There's also some tubing for the arms, and I want to make sure it doesn't slip out. I will probably have to make some adjustments once we get to the actual assembly process. And lastly, we've got these 2 hooks, which will be for either hat. It doesn't matter how you want to display them. You don't even have to use these hats. You could use something else. Honestly, you could add maybe a 3rd coat if you want. We'll explore more of the customization options you get with this later on. For now, it's time to get building and see your coat rack monster in action for me for the first time. Well, based upon the fact that there are only 7 individual components, with 2 of them being hats and 1 being an adapter, I think this is probably going to be the quickest build I've ever done. First, starting with the base, we can then attach A to A, B to B. Time for the main body already. That's the bad part about this having clothing already attached is you can't really see. We then need to secure each arm right in there. I think you probably pinch it to get it out. Oh my God. Place that in like so. Apply it to the other arm, and we should pretty much done. I am bleeding. How the hell did that happen? All right, time to do all of the connections. They're labeled F, H, and G. Make sure these are pushed in a little bit more. Don't want them to be seen. And lastly, we will be plugging in the power supply. There we go. Time to go scare some people.
He got me. Wait, where is it? Oh, does he do that every time somebody walks by?
That's the idea.
Oh my God.
All right, we just saw the demo of Coat Rack, and we can probably all agree he is one heck of a jump scare. What appears as a crossover between Cad Bane and Michael Jackson is such a deceptive prop and only reaffirms my love for this all-time great. Now, we're going to start out by discussing the improvements this has over the older model. I touched on earlier that it has a larger speaker, and man, does it get to be loud. Its loudest setting is too much for me, which is exactly what you want. You never want to crank the volume up all the way and it still be too quiet. Thankfully, you do not have to worry about that here. Another upgrade from the original is the time from when the sound comes on to when he flips upward. There's only about a half-second delay where there used to be about a full 2 seconds of audio before he'd pop up. To me, this was a critical error that had to be fixed if this was going to get remade, and what we have now is so much better. Of course, if you are still unhappy with there being a slight delay, you could always just turn the sound completely off. However, you will hear all the mechanics underneath. Also, the duration of how long the head looks out before going back in has been lengthened, I think, and even the motion for when he tucks back in is a bit slower as well, which I really like. And for a fun bonus that a lot of collectors are really going to enjoy, this does end up having the prototype audio, which is just a nice detail to have attached to this item. Now, to take a look at the mechanism, it has been heavily redesigned in order to last longer, as that was a huge issue with the previous one, is it would break quite easily. This has been remodeled for you to get several seasons of solid use, but only time will tell if this is 100% true. Focusing now on the face, we all know this part could have been done better. In all honesty though, I mean, I like the look of it. The green really pops, especially with those yellow eyes, but it also kind of looks cheap when you've got his mouth closing in on itself and really exposing the downside of this latex. If they added a second animation where the jaw moved up and down, like it's waiting to bite your hand off, this would be a totally different story, would certainly change my perspective on its price, but unfortunately, this is reality. However, to go from a negative back to a positive, the sensor is quite good. The range on it is ideal for the environment it is going to be set in, which is really all that matters. The range is about 5, maybe 6 feet or so, and of course can be activated by sound in addition to movement, though it's not going to pick up voices per se, instead something like a clap, a door closing, or dropping a pin. Those sharper sounds will induce a trigger. Like I alluded to earlier, what's great with Coat Rack is if you want to add your own personal touch, you've got those two hooks at the top to do whatever you'd like, yet I would keep in mind whatever you do end up hanging should probably be similar in weight so that there is still a counterbalance. Another thing I wish to point out that not many people are talking about, a little bit to my surprise, is how visible the cord coming out from the bottom is. This could give the surprise away if there's a lot of light where this is placed, so I've come up with what I feel like is the best method if you view this as a problem. I would start out by zip tying the cord to the poles, then cutting the excess, and also drilling a small hole in the plastic covering to feed the wire through. And if you wish to go a step further, you could always grab some PVC to essentially act as a sleeve, do the same thing with the wire, and then just paint it black. Not only does this preserve the illusion, but from a design perspective, keeping everything rounded instead of the contrast going from a circle to a square is sort of an added bonus. And to wrap it up, we gotta talk about value. No one is going to be arguing against the fact that this is an incredibly unique concept, a 10 out of 10 for originality, but I doubt anyone is arguing, except the sellers, that this is worth $230. We know that the 2014 Spirit model sold for $139.99. Adjusted for inflation, that comes out to around $186 to $187, and with the minor developments that have been made with its successor, I could maybe see $200 at most. You'll have a hard time convincing me that servo animatronics like Fear Valley Wolf, Chucky, Yoda are somehow $30 less in quality and overall design. At the end of the day, it's all retail in my eyes, and anything that falls into that category is subject to be compared to the others. So with all this being said, what do I value this prop to be worth? Well, frankly, I'm of the belief that this is the perfect $150 animatronic. If you are ever around this in person, you lift it up, you feel the weight, and you see it in action, not going to be thinking, man, this has to be over $200. It sort of feels like a glorified CVS animatronic. I mean, I guess that is kind of older Spirit, but still, with the new version, I can't say it's worth the current asking price. I'd obviously recommend holding off a bit, just seeing if you can get it for a lower price later on in the season. Kind of bide your time, keep an eye out on it, because you never know when a random sale might pop up. I can't recommend it for $230, but if you can't wait, if you've got to get your hands on one, the link is posted in the description for you to make that impulsive purchase. You'll have to forgive me as I did not cover all the differences between the 2025 and 2014/2015 versions, as since I don't have it in person, I can't really point out much of the aesthetics, but you know the critical changes that have been made for the better, and I think that's what's most important. So anyways, guys, thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later. Peace out. Bye.